Welcome to another No Bullshit podcast for contractors. I got Todd Garloff with me today, an amazing contractor. And what we're going to be talking about is one of the greatest challenges contractors face, which is like, how do you build an A team? What are some of the things that you can do to do that? So that's going to be this, I guess, No Bullshit podcast. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Enjoy it. Make sure you take lots of notes. Make sure you take some action out of this, and I will see you on the flip side. Until right now, this very moment, contractors have always been on their own, not as tradespeople, but being alone and knowing how to take their business to the next level. They call us working class. They call us blue collar. They say that we don't have the smarts to become the business owner that we're meant to be. That is such bullshit. You have the ability. You're more than any of that. The question really is, where do you get the insights that you need specific to contracting to systemize your business so you can get your profits to pay for your freedom? I'm Andrew Houston. I'm going to show you how to make more profits, how to get more control, how to get more freedom in the simplest, quickest way possible without any of that bullshit. Welcome to the No Bullshit podcast for contractors. Listen up, level up, and if you learn something, like the video, subscribe to the channel, change your business, change your life. All right, welcome to another No Bullshit podcast for contractors. I'm Andrew Houston, and we are going to be digging deep with Todd here. I'll get Todd to introduce himself, but Todd's had some massive changes in his contracting business. One of the things we're going to be focusing in on is the importance of building an A team, how to do that. What are some of the things to be aware of, some of the mistakes, some of the strategies to make sure that you can build an A team, and how to turn your business into a profitable contracting business to get it to pay for your freedom. So, Todd, welcome, dude.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Andrew.
Where are you located? And tell us a little bit about your business.
Okay, I'm located in Allentown, Pennsylvania. We're a decking contractor business. Been in business about 18 years now. We started as everyone else did, from the bottom up and learned through hard knocks.
Tell us about learning through hard knocks. Like, what were some of the things, before we got to know you, before you became part of the Champion CEO group, what were some of the hard knock lessons that you had to go through building this contracting business?
Well, I have a kind of unique situation. I had a prior career to this, and I actually worked two jobs. So I was a police officer during the day, and I would do my contracting business at night or my sales. And when I was on a different shift, I would work during the day in the field. I had one other employee and work all day, sleep all night. And that's basically how it went. I flew by the seat of my pants, got my business going to a point where I knew when I retired from my police career that I wanted a sustainable business to carry forward and possibly pass on to my son and my grandson.
I love it. So leaving a legacy, right?
Exactly.
Well, let's say leaving a legacy that's worth leaving.
Exactly. That's totally correct.
So, you and I were on a coaching session, and I was just so impressed by, how you've taken some of these strategies, insights from Profit for Contractors and even some outside of that, just log of lessons learned. But you've come so far with your team. Let's talk a little bit about your team. Tell us a little about, where was your team? Where was it at when things weren't the best as far as your team? What were some of the symptoms? What were some of the things that you were experiencing with your team?
Well, when it started out, obviously I was on the tools. I was involved in every aspect of the business, which I am today, but at a different standard now or a different level. Back then, I would order materials and I would follow up by doing the projects myself. Now we have a structure in place where we have myself, we have a project manager, we have foremen, we have two crews going right now, and possibly a third. And we're in a process as we spoke of acquiring a secretary and coming up with a job title and some structure for her as well. Yeah. So that'll happen in a month or so. But, I've never really considered break-even numbers, and I'm sure we'll get into that later on, but I really never knew if I made a profit until the end of the year. And I hear it all the time on your podcast is you wonder where all the money went. Well, now I know where it's going and how it's coming in as well.
Absolutely. And, when you look at your team, tell us a little bit about what are some of the effects when you don't have structure in place and you don't have the systems to back up that structure. What are some of the things that, happen, on the team front when you don't have those things in place?
Total chaos. And efficiency is the best way to run a business. And I think we're in the process of improving that. We're not 100%. We're learning every day, as I assume we will continue to do that, or we're going to be stagnant. But we put certain things in process, and we've worked through them as a part of the Profit for Contracting team. Right. And we've improved our efficiency from ordering materials to sales to break even and knowing where our numbers are. It's just been a total improvement. I would say 180 degrees from where I started.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So, how important is your team to you achieving your goals and your vision of the company?
Well, I've always said, and I think it holds true, is you don't have to be the smartest person in the business. What you have to do is surround your people with people that are smarter than you and are better skilled than yourself. So I'm not the best contractor. I had enough skills to get me to this point. And then I've hired through attrition, I've hired people that have better skills than me and provide a good product. We have no callbacks, virtually no callbacks. So I think that's the most important about hiring a good team, is being able to find the people that can make you look good, I guess is the best way to put it.
I think you bring up something that's just, I think it's brilliant. Okay. I'm a big promoter of making sure that you hire people above and beyond you. But, tell us a little bit about, you got these contractors listening in on this podcast. And by the way, if you're a contractor listening on this podcast, I know we're only, 10 minutes in, but I don't want to really waste your time. If you're not into building a contracting business, whereby you see building a team as a component of leveraging your business beyond you, then you probably should just jump off the podcast and do something else with your time. But if you are a contractor and you see the importance of building a team beyond you, well then, stay tuned and, we'll keep going deeper with this conversation. So with that being said, you've got contractors listening in. They're like, Todd, what are you talking about? I mean, if I hire people that are smarter than me, how is that going to work? Tell us a little bit about that, because there's a lot of people that might disagree with you because they don't really understand this concept. Tell us a little bit more about it.
I think a lot of that comes back from my police training and being a leader in the police department as well. You have to learn to leverage the people you have and use their skills to your ability. So, and I always tell my foreman this: if you know somebody's good at something and they're not poor at another function within that team, why would you consider putting them on something they're going to fail? So each member of our team knows their position. I mean, we build decks. It's not rocket science. I mean, some of them are complicated, but everybody on that team knows their function and they've been trained in that function, and they learn. Now our laborers, we want them to learn, and they learn by watching and improving their skills. And I've have a gentleman here that's 5 years, started as a laborer, and he's very close to becoming a foreman. He's acquired those skills by learning from people that are smarter than him and myself as well. And I don't necessarily have to employ the people that are smarter than me. I can hire people like your agency, my accountant, all those people that have different skill sets that improve my business, and I bring them into the function where I need them.
You said it so well. I love the example that you use, whether it's Profit for Contractor or somebody else, but you think about this. To all you listeners out there, okay, just to sort of drive this nail home that you need to hire people, you need to build a team that's smarter and smarter than the next person. You're not a fucking accountant, okay? You're not a lawyer. You're not an investor in the sense of that's your profession. And if you try to behave like you are those people, the reality is that you're not going to be able to get the things done or get the insight or get the information or have things executed on the way that it's needed, because those things are actually a profession. right? Especially those examples. Those people are meant to be smarter than you. Take a look at your own trade. Everybody listening in, you didn't learn your skill, you didn't learn your trade in like 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. It's been years and years. Like, Todd, how long have you been in business?
18 years.
18 years, right? And you're still fucking learning like crazy, dude, right?
Absolutely.
Right. And that's because you put your pride aside to a certain degree and said, you know what? I don't know it all. So for everybody listening in, it's okay. You're not supposed to know it all. But if you can surround yourself with other people that know the things that you need to know, and those things can be applied to your business, it's a complete game changer. So let's talk a little bit more about your team and about the culture. If you don't mind, sometimes, on these podcasts, you don't know what I'm going to ask you. And if you're not okay, Todd, in answering it, then that's totally cool. But tell us a little story about, a competitor of yours with just a different mindset, or how other people in your space, think differently from a team perspective.
A lot of the contractors in my area, we go to different functions and we talk quite a bit. And, we're always comparing who would get one job or another. And, I was just telling them or a couple of them how I've improved the quality of the people that work for me by improving their lives, by offering health insurance. But I had to raise my prices to do that. And obviously I'm not losing, but I'm not acquiring as many jobs as I did before. But the jobs that I'm acquiring were making a salary that is capable of supporting those amenities for my employees and improving their lives as well. So I want to make this an atmosphere where they enjoy coming to work and they can sustain a lifestyle that would sustain their home life as well.
I love it. It's just a little tip, guys, listening in. This is like me talking from a coaching perspective. You gotta, in today's world, one of the greatest challenges that contractors are having is finding good, skilled people. Okay. Especially people skilled at their trade. And not only that, but one of the biggest challenges contractors are having in conjunction with that is retaining their team and retaining and creating top talent. If you want to retain, if you want to attract, right? You want to land and you want to keep A players. You have to create an environment that's not just about you, but it's about them and their lifestyle. So, Todd, how has your team responded to you thinking like this?
Well, they don't necessarily come out and thank me or so forth, but I think by the fact that one of the guys that's with me has been with me from the start, a lot of the other people have been here 5-8 years already. So I think by improving, and they see our business growing. It's not a fly-by-night agency where we're here to get today and gone tomorrow. They can build a career here and know it's going to be here tomorrow. And they see the fact that I'm mentoring my son and possibly my grandson. Obviously, he's very young, but they see that this is a business that's growing and it's going to be here for them to retire from, possibly, hopefully.
I love it.
We do have a retirement account set up for employees as well.
Interesting. Like, you're thinking that far ahead, right? And when you start thinking in those terms, when you start thinking about their retirement, when you start thinking about them having the right type of coverage, you attract people where those values are important, right? And when you attract people where those values are important, the inevitable happens, which is that your retention of keeping people tends to be much higher than those people that are just focused in on, hey man, get the job done. Or I hear this all the time. I'd love to hear your comments on this. I hear it all the time. Coach, there's no good guys out there. It's just these millennials, and they're not the right fit for the company. They want technology, they want this, they want that. I mean, what would your response be to this statement that I hear all the time? Like, there's nobody out there.
Well, it's a struggle finding good people, but they're out there. And I think if you go in the right marketing to employ those people or find those people, you can dig a little deeper. And through interviewing processes, you can dig a little deeper and find the right person. Don't get me wrong. We've had people, I just had somebody leave that's only been here 2 weeks, but delving into that a little bit deeper, I could have done stuff a little different in my interview, and I'll learn for the next time. But the foreman told me he wasn't really somebody that we should keep around in the first place. So that kind of worked out in our favor. And I was initially one that had a trust issue with people, and I learned to trust people over time, and that's allowed my business to flourish. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying give them carte blanche and allow them to take over your business. You still have to be there to monitor things, but you got to trust people too. And there's a lot of good people out there that are willing to work for you and improve your lifestyle and your business.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk a little bit on a different topic. Okay. So, we're going to wrap this thing up in the next 5 or 10 minutes, but let's talk about, if there was the top, and this might be, easy, might be hard, whatever, to answer this question. But what would you say is like the top 3 things that, you've got a contractor listening in, his business is in some form of chaos. They're not making the profits that they want to. And they're like, hey man, like, where should I start? Like if there was 3 things for me to focus in on, we already covered off team, covered off the importance of team. Tell us a little bit beyond that. What would be the top 2 or 3 things that they should really make sure they learn and know?
I think the biggest thing that I was willing to do was hire your firm as a coaching agency. That was the biggest thing. And I can tell people listening to this, I'm not being hired to say this or anything. I'm just here 14 months now into the program. I'm going through it very slow. So we take each process, we delve into it, and we allow our company to surround itself around that and let it absorb in before we move on to the next process. So that's the biggest thing. The next thing we did was we got software, Builder-Trend. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but
oh yeah, for sure you are, dude. This is the no bullshit podcast. There's no rules.
Builder-Trend is the biggest. One of the, besides going with your coaching agency, was bringing on Builder-Trend. We put all our jobs in there, from sales to the completion of the job, and in there we have checklist processes that you recommended. We create a job folder for each job. And in there, we're very redundant on how we do things. So there's checklists throughout every process. And those are probably the 2 biggest things that improved my lifestyle, giving more freedom, as you always say, and allowing our business to flourish.
I love it. I'm going to throw in a 3rd one and see how you respond to this. Knowing your numbers.
Right. That's another one. But my break-even numbers, I had no clue prior to going into this.
What is it? People listening in, by the way, Todd, let's just put things to, again, this is the No Bullshit podcast. So you might be listening in. You're like, he mentioned, you guys have mentioned break-even a couple of times. What the hell is that? Like, they might not even know what that means.
So break-even is anything considered overhead, your electric bill, your truck payments, tools, anything that is not directly associated with the building of that specific job itself. I think I have that correct.
You do. You nailed it, man. I love it. You nailed it.
The biggest thing for us, and I can tell you where I started, was I worked out of a room in my house as my office. As soon as I retired from the police department, I wanted to improve my business. I started leasing a space. We outgrew that within a year. We were able, through knowing our numbers, to purchase a warehouse and an office that we remodeled, and we're working out of it right now. We have a place of our own. We have 6 trucks, so you got to consider those payments. We started a second business, a helical pile business, which accompanies our decking business, and we're able to flourish because of that. Knowing those numbers, that's the big. You're right.
So here's the thing, guys. Todd described this bang on. Okay. You need to know your numbers. You need to know, what are the expenses you got to pay just to freaking make sure you're paying the bills. And if you don't know that information, I'm going to tell you right now, if you come to me and you say, and by the way, it's okay that you're at this stage, all listeners, if you're at the stage and you don't have your break even, it's okay. Todd didn't have it for a long time. Not that he wouldn't have benefited from it, but you're where you're at. Okay. You're still in business right now today, if you're listening in, and you can change these things. Okay. It's never ever too late to learn these things. Would you agree, Todd?
I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah. You just gotta, and by the way, if you're sitting down, you want some more advice on this, go to your accountant, ask your accountant, what's my break even? So you know what to put on your jobs. If your accountant doesn't know how to figure that out for you, you need to seriously consider getting a new accountant. Okay. So make sure you're leveraging your bookkeeper. Make sure that you are reading your financials. And by the way, I'm going to be straight up with everybody. When I first started, my wife is a chartered accountant. Okay. And when I was running my business and she said, Andrew, you got to look at these numbers. I'll be straight up with everybody. My palms are sweaty. I was irritated. Because I didn't know what she was talking about. But you know what? Over the span of just 2 to 3 weeks, with her interpreting, hey, just like Todd did for you guys, here's what break even is. I was like, this is starting to make sense. You can learn this. Again, you're never too young, never too old. It's never too late, okay, to learn this stuff. So, I guess what I wanted to say was, Todd, if there was one thing that you would recommend to people beyond what you've already said today, what would be the last word of wisdom that you would give to the listeners?
Well, you rehash this all the time on your podcast. I know because I listen constantly, but yes, you have to work hard, but to get yourself into the black out of the red, you can't keep working harder and harder to try to do that. You can't do that. You have to know your numbers, and you have to put certain processes in to get you to certain levels. And there's a tier process or certain plateaus that you have to reach as you progress through the lifespan of your business. And that's just what you got to do.
Great advice, dude.
Slowly.
It's great advice. And you know what? I'm not even going to add anything different because that's bang on. If you're listening on this and your approach to your trying to solve your business problems is putting in more and more time, my hat goes out to you because of your commitment. My hat goes out to you because you're a hard worker. As a matter of fact, one of the main reasons beyond me being a contractor and going through hell and what have you, having to figure that out and seeing the impact that had on my life, I think, one of the biggest reasons I engage with contractors and really love helping them is because you guys are some of the hardest working people out there. So my hat goes out to you. Now, with that being said, that's not directly solving your problems. So you've got to really, one of the core areas Todd said is like knowing your numbers. You've got to, your numbers is the language of business. Your numbers are the things that it's pure data, so it's going to allow you to know if you're pricing profitably. It's going to let you know which customers are the right customers, what type of work is the right type of work. It's going to let you know which team members are the best, which ones need improvement. And, it's going to let you know what things that you change are going to have an impact and which things aren't going to have an impact. These are just the beginnings of the things that you're going to get out of knowing your numbers. Okay. So you've heard it before, work smarter than harder. Okay. I think both have to go hand in hand. You still, as a business owner, have to work hard. Okay. You have to work hard to learn these things. But if you can combine that with surrounding yourself with smarter people and doing smarter things, you're going to have it's inevitable. You're going to have a better business. So Todd, thanks again for taking the time out of your business today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you part of the Champion CEO group and part of this family. You've gotten the results that you've gotten because you've taken the action, right?
Right.
And it's been awesome, dude. So I can't wait to see you, flourish. And I know, I've got a good idea of the next things you're going to be learning. Getting this admin person is going to be freaking game changer for you. And I'll see you on the flip side. Right, brother?
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew.
Awesome, man.
Hey, rock stars. Thank you for watching the No Bullshit Podcast for Contractors. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button. And if you're serious about growing and need help, click on the link below. Myself and my team would love to help and give you the necessary tools so you can take your contracting business to the next level. And remember, dominate, delegate, and deliver.